An empty wooden bowl. This simple object represents one of the greatest injustices of the Industrial Revolution. We've seen the brutal 16-hour days Victorian children endured. But what fuel powered this relentless engine of child labor? The answer lies in what filled these bowls, or more often, what didn't. This is the true story of what Victorian factory children actually ate, a tale of systematic malnutrition that condemned generations to hunger and disease. The day began before dawn with what was called breakfast. For most factory children, this meant a thin, watery porridge that was more liquid than sustenance. Made from the cheapest available oats and stretched with water to feed entire families, this gruel provided barely enough energy to walk to the mills, let alone work a morning shift. The porridge was often cooked overnight to save morning time, becoming a cold, congealed mass by serving. Some children received weak, lukewarm tea, usually made from reused leaves, but many drank straight from factory pumps, unaware of the contamination that awaited them. Lunch was eaten where they worked, amidst the deafening machinery and floating cotton dust. There were no designated meal areas, no canteens, no breaks long enough to seek proper nourishment. Children ate sitting on the factory floor, leaning against machinery, or if fortunate, on crates in dim corners. The food itself was typically a cold potato, a piece of stale bread, or oat cakes spread with bacon fat. The potato might be speckled with eyes and soft spots, the cheapest of the cheap. The bread was often days old, purchased from bakeries selling yesterday's leftovers to the poor. And always the ever-present cotton dust seasoned every bite, adding an unwelcome texture and contributing to the respiratory diseases that plague these young workers. Thirst in the factory presented its own special horror. Water came from factory pumps that often drew from contaminated sources. Industrial waste, sewage runoff, and animal carcasses frequently polluted the water supply. The result was water that appeared murky, tasted foul, and carried deadly bacteria. Children drank this water throughout their shift, unaware they were consuming liquid poison. Cholera, typhoid, and dysentery were constant threats. The alternative, buying clean water, was impossible on their meager wages. Some factories provided milk, but it was often watered down or spoiled, and costs deducted from the children's already pitiful pay. Dinner, back in cramped, overcrowded homes, offered little improvement. If the family had a good week, there might be a small piece of meat, usually bacon ends or low-quality offal. More often, it was the same monotony: bread, potatoes, and whatever vegetables were cheapest at market, often wilted or rotting. The bread was frequently the dark, coarse wholemeal variety that the wealthy rejected. Families might share a single herring or mackerel between 6 or 7 people. Cooking facilities were primitive. Many poor families had access only to a shared fireplace or a small stove. Nutrition was barely considered. The goal was simply to fill empty stomachs as cheaply as possible. This malnutrition wasn't accidental. It was engineered by the economics of the factory system. Children earned between 10 and 20% of an adult male's wage, barely enough for subsistence living. A child's weekly pay might buy 2 loaves of bread and some potatoes, with nothing left for meat, fruit, or dairy. Factory owners knew this. They calculated the minimum possible wage that would keep workers alive. Meanwhile, the cost of nutritious food like fresh meat, eggs, and quality vegetables placed them far beyond a factory family's reach. This created a vicious cycle. Low wages meant poor nutrition, which led to decreased productivity, which justified keeping wages low. The system was designed to keep workers perpetually on the edge starvation. The consequences of this systematic malnutrition were written on the children's bodies. Rickets, caused by vitamin D and calcium deficiency, left them with bowed legs and deformed bones. Scurvy from lack of fresh fruit caused bleeding gums and tooth loss. General weakness made them vulnerable to tuberculosis and pneumonia. Stunted growth was universal. The average factory child was significantly shorter and lighter than their wealthier counterparts. These weren't isolated cases, but a generation-wide health crisis. Factory doctors documented children who appeared years younger than their actual age, their growth halted by nutritional deprivation. The hunger followed them into adulthood, shortening lives and perpetuating cycles of poverty. The legacy of this hunger extends far beyond the Victorian era. The empty bowls of factory children eventually sparked social reform, leading to early school meal programs and food safety laws. But more importantly, their story reveals a fundamental truth. The Industrial Revolution wasn't just built on steam and steel, but on the undernourished bodies of children. The economic boom that transformed Britain came at the cost of a generation's health. When we look at that empty wooden bowl, we see more than just hunger. We see the human price of progress and the enduring lesson that no society can thrive when its children go hungry.